This year, I scaled my business to multiple 7 figures and added over 30,000 buyers to my list. I've also created over 10 products and I had over 20 people join my team this year alone. And I'll share my 10 biggest lessons and I'll be brutally honest about my growing pains, my mistakes, my fears, and everything that's been going on. So welcome to my year and my life as a CEO. My name is Darius Lucas and I'm here to help you build an online business that gives you freedom, leverages AI tools, and helps you connect to your ikigai, the reason for being. So I really wanted this video to be an honest conversation about this year and what has happened in the business and how has Darius Lucas brand grown over the past 12 months, what's coming up, but also, as I said in the introduction, addressing all the challenges and obstacles that sort of happened. So the first lesson that I titled in my notes is a decade to overnight success. So at the beginning of the year, one of our products, the ChatGPT Bible, had gone viral. And that was great. You always like that, a bit of virality, especially when it's a product. And so it was doing super well, but and suddenly we were having thousands of sales, thousands of buyers coming through the door, people wanting to opt into all of the products that we had up to that point. I had some people that I was at the time contracting to help me with certain aspects of copy and stuff. And they said to me, "Oh, well, how lucky you are. You're so lucky, like you managed to spot this trend and you're doing so well." And to an extent, that's true. That was true. But also it wasn't, because I knew that this success, which to me was my own success, to some this would look like a success. To others, this would look like just a normal day in the office with them crushing every product that they create and every offer that they create. But to me, this was a success. But I knew that it was not an overnight success, and I knew that it wasn't an accident, and I knew that it was something that I had been working towards for literally the past 12 years in one shape or form. And I knew that it took me 12 years building my language schools, testing 100 of different products, funnels, over those 12 years building up enough of capital to start a new project and invest some money in there, get a small team and get it going. And then I also spent around like 4 years with this Darius Lucas brand, which is probably gonna morph into something else soon. Another 5 or probably 4 years testing different products, testing different funnels and angles. So when it got to the point where suddenly we had this one funnel that was doing super well and was converting and people were joining and loving what they were getting, it felt like a decade-long success. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like it was an accident. It felt like I put in all this work and suddenly you're seeing results. So that sort of having that mindset is really sobering, because I think in this industry, or any kind of industry, when it comes to success and entrepreneurship and achievement, you see a lot of douchebags really, where people go around talking about how much they made and numbers and stuff, but they always omit the context, as to exactly how long it took them to get there and what happened. And I also understand that, because to an extent, when you're building your funnels and when you're doing your positioning, your brand positioning, you have to create an appealing story. So it can't just be, like you explaining for 3 hours of how you've done it. But at least I hope that in some of our communication and some of the videos that I managed to convey a sense of reality and pragmatism there, even though sometimes I do keep those very catchy headlines and titles for videos and offers, because it hooks people in. But then, I hope that once people come through the door, that there is that sense of honesty and pragmatism. And so this was my thinking process around success this year. And then naturally it went into lesson number 2, and that is turbulence of growth. So that point when you get on a plane and you start taking off, and just before you hit the jet stream, it becomes sort of most turbulent, and you experience the most turbulence on the plane. And in that bit of most turbulence, you have to just always remember that probably as soon as it hits the jet stream, everything is gonna calm down, and most of the time it does, right? And that was the metaphor that I really held in my mind this year, because as the business grew, pressure also grew. And the pressure was sort of coming in different shapes or forms. So for example, suddenly your payment provider decides to block you because suddenly our sales volume was much higher than usually. And they were suspicious, and so we needed to provide them with sort of certain documents to explain what had happened. But in that period, until they do clarify and verify what's going on, you are suspended. and then you can't pay for your ads, and and things like that are starting to happen, which can be quite stressful. And I always go back and think, okay, well, we're about to hit the right altitude. This is us just jetting off to the jet stream, and it's gonna be fine. Or another thing, because of the amount of traffic, the website had gone down as well, and then suddenly you're having to figure out solutions there, and it can get stressful. But you realize that in order to grow, you have to go through a certain level and experience of pain. And in my life, I've learned that the hard way, because I think most of us never seek out discomfort, because discomfort is unpleasant. So most of us really don't choose growth until it's too painful not to grow, until it's too painful not to change. And so what I was realizing in that moment, when things were sort of being very turbulent and things with the payment providers going wrong and things like that, I just kept saying to myself, well, this is growth. This is the growing pains, and you have to be in it and almost have this slightly spiritual perspective, right? And you go, and I'm gonna sit in this, and I know that it's gonna be easier when I come out on the other end. And yet, by far, this hasn't been the most difficult thing in my life. I've had some extremely traumatic experiences, both as a child, as an adult. So this still was pretty easy in comparison. But I guess my emotional threshold of pain and emotional pain is quite high. But anyway, so the business lesson in that is that you have to understand that you are in this turbulent moment, and it's about to change. It's about to get better. Lesson number 3 was love your people. And that was my lesson, where I realized how important it is to actually have a good, solid relationship with the people that you work with, and also in your personal life. When we started scaling, growing this product, in this particular project, we had only a VA and a copywriter and a media buyer, I think 3 people, right? More or less part-time. As the growth started happening, these 3 people really stepped up, and a VA became an operations manager, a copywriter became a marketing manager, a media buyer chipped in with actually helping strategize ads, and then we started hiring a lot more people, and the customer support team and graphic designers and video editors. But that core team of people that I started out with, they were an asset, and they were very kind, and obviously each of them had their own parameters of what they could do, meaning that some of them, didn't want to work more than X amount of hours, or, things like that. So we had to work around that. But at the end of the day, because we had established this good working relationship prior to the growth stage, it was very fluid to level up and for us all to take more senior roles and hire other people to come into the company, which was absolutely crucial, because at that time, if these people wouldn't have stepped up, it would have been very, very hard to navigate the change. And this is where I try to remind it to myself, and I think that's just the lesson for any business owner, leader, but also a human being. You really can't do things alone. Most of the time you can't. I mean, you can drive things alone to a certain extent. You can push for things to happen. You can be, aggressive about it. But sooner or later, you will need support. You will need your people. And you need to be humble enough to realize that without them, won't get very much done. And in that humility, I think there's a lot of strength and a lot of power. And I absolutely love this learning this year. And so here I go into number 4, and that was be on a lookout. So this is very funny, but I remember at university studying English literature, and at that point I did not want to be a marketer, I did not want to be an entrepreneur, I wanted to be an artist. But it made me realize that when I was writing about Madonna being able to identify what was the upcoming sound, what was the style of music that was going to do well next, what type of controversy, for example, kissing Britney Spears on stage would do well, or for example, tapping into voguing and that sort of genre of music and making that work for her. So that ability to be on a lookout, to see what's trending, to spot where people are going to go next, was crucial for her success. And no matter what trend she went for, all of these trends were simply pushing her ahead in the game and making sure that she stayed on top. So for me, when I realized that ChatGPT had come out and it was AI, and I was questioning whether I wanted to sort of jump into that pool, I thought to myself, if I use that trend in order to draw attention to what I have been really passionate about prior to AI, because because I didn't quite exist in this sort of form, right? So I had all these products, all these programs that I really loved. And I thought, if I do this product about ChatGPT, it has a good chance to go viral. And if it does go viral, that means I can draw their attention to all these products that I had been creating for the past couple of years and hopefully get people to join and get value out of it. And this is what happened. So that ability for an entrepreneur, for an artist to be on a lookout, to spot that trend and capitalize on it is super important. So I don't think that on my part it was some genius move, but it taught me that from now on I have to be on a lookout for trends, for what's going on in the world, for what's happening in society that you can respond to with products and help people solve certain problems that are arising in the age that is absolutely uncertain. Trends sell, story connects. And that was another lesson that I've learned this year. And so when we were capitalizing on this trend per se, and we had people coming in and joining, I knew that I wanted to establish a much more authentic relationship with the buyers, the people who had come onto our list and were joining different programs that I was creating. And the only way to do that was by connecting and sharing who I was and what my story was, right? So this is where I started writing Sunday emails, Sunday newsletters, where I would tell a personal story and connect that story to a learning, a new launch, a product, or give context to the entire brand, but do so really through sharing something that was, I don't know, a quirky story, an interesting thing. So for example, once in summer I wrote a story about people getting married, my friends getting married, and that being quite annoying because then I had to fly to all those weddings and it messed up my plans, and I don't know, but it was very tongue-in-cheek and I just very openly said, like, this is really annoying. You know, I was living in this village in Italy because my partner was working there for like 2 months on a job, and you know, I was complaining how I was just living, you know, being trapped in this small mountain village and things like that. You know, you sort of just share. And although it isn't a brand that talks about AI and online office and, you know, scaling and so forth, I still wanted that to be personal. I wanted there to be a connection. I wanted to be that connection through a narrative and through the story. And I wanted people to get to know who I am, at least a little bit, because I really wanted that connection to be there. I really wanted to leverage stories because we as humans connect through stories, right? Like, just think of you going to a party and meeting somebody new, and most of the time it would be through story that you find that connection, that you find that point of, you know, understanding each other. So that's why I started writing these emails religiously every Sunday, and now we have like a whole bunch of them, and sending them out amongst all these AI emails, amongst all the launches and campaigns. And I really feel that that helped me crystallize the brand, who I was, what we were trying to do here, and also hear from the folks on the list and who they were, and build something that is of value, and that is of value not in a transactional sense, but in a very human sense. Shrink is a must. I've been a huge advocate of doing therapy, and I love doing therapy, and I've done it for like over a decade. And I really feel that that contributed to my success, to my ability to build businesses, to grow them, and most importantly, to have a great team. Because through doing therapy, not only that you actually address all of the stuff that happened to you in the past and deal with your mommy-daddy issues, but what also happens is that you do not project all of that BS from your past onto the situations that happen with the team that you work with and your clients. Because we are always triggered in our interactions with other humans, and that's very human, and things trigger us. But if we had been able to work through things that happened to us in the past, through certain traumas, through certain bad experiences, losses, heartbreaks, and so forth, the situations arise which may trigger us and remind us what had happened in the past, we are no longer as irritable or as sensitive to that, and we can actually respond to the working environment, to our team, to our colleagues in a way that is much more neutral. So I feel that when this year we started hitting that turbulence before the jet stream, when we started to really, you know, that our sort of plane was really shaking, I really didn't feel triggered because I felt that I had that grounding within myself that I worked on for years. Obviously I would get stressed, but it wouldn't be the type of stress that debilitates you, that paralyzes you. It would be just some normal levels of human stress, right? And so I was able to really navigate the situations. And even when I was being triggered, to realize that, oh, like, this person that we just hired is actually not the right fit and it has nothing to do with me or my team. And actually, whatever they're saying and how angry they're getting, it's all about them and it's fine. And you just go, sure, okay, thanks for your input, goodbye. But therapy really gives you that ability to be emotionally sober. And at the same time, what I just said before, for example, even writing stories as part of your brand and sharing professional or personal stories to connect to your clients, even that, you need a level of emotional intelligence in order to be able to do that in a way that people would connect, people would understand, and in a way that you would be comfortable with it. So that's why I really believe that therapy is the key for the rainy days and for the sunny days. This is where you need therapy, and it really, really helps you become a better entrepreneur and, most importantly, a better leader. Number 7, build a product suite. And this is something that I already had done and had experienced in my previous business. And I knew that once you have a certain following and people joining your world, there will be a percentage of people that will like what you do. Obviously, there will be some that don't like what you do, and that's fine. No, not everybody likes you. It's right. Another benefit of therapy, you realize that there are people that don't like you, and that's fine. But anyway, back to the point. I knew that there will be this percentage of people who will want more from us, that will want more products, more experiences, more programs. And when you are in that period of growth where things are just happening and you have to manage thousands and thousands of new purchases, people coming through the door, asking questions, hiring new people, dealing with banks and payments and whatnot, in that you need to also carve out time to create something for those that have come, have joined, and go, hey Darius, like what else? What else can I do with you? So what we did here was to start creating live workshops where we'd run a 3-hour workshop, say on how to build a sales funnel with ChatGPT, or how to write an ebook with ChatGPT, or multiple others, and sort of run these workshops live, sell tickets to these workshops, run them live, and then edit them into online courses. So when we run them live with the audience, it's very vibey, it's vibrant, it's dynamic, it's engaging because people are there. And then once you had run the workshop, you can then sort of turn it into an online course. And that way it becomes much easier to build up this product suite that in other sort of world might have taken centuries, because you might have been wanting to be perfect at editing, you might have been wanting to do perfect scripts and so forth. And when you do it live, it has this element of it being very organic, it being very natural. You just connect with people, right? So this is how we ended up building up our product suite. And I don't know exactly how many products we have now, but I think it's probably close to 10 products. Some of them are in our store, some of them aren't. And it definitely helped us grow as a business. It helped us serve our clients who had been wanting more, who had been wanting to learn about sales funnels, and who had been wanting to learn about ChatGPT, and who had been wanting to build their bot, for example. So through that strategy, we were able to really listen to everybody and actually make it happen in a very short period of time. And this is how we built up this entire catalog, which I thought was really great. But for all of this to happen, there was this other lesson, and that is ditch your baby, as sad as it sounds. So I ditched my baby in order to be running this whole thing that happened this year. And that baby was my other business, my language schools. And this year was the first year where I genuinely spent 1 hour a week in that business, in the language schools, having one team call a week, and that being just about it. And obviously, again, I'm super grateful for the team. And this is the very reason why I was able to do that, because I had put the right people in charge of the business even before I knew that I'd get busy with this new project, right? Found people who could own the project and who could actually boss me around as well when needed. So by doing that, when the time came, I was really able to step away and ditch the baby for a short period of time, well, for a year. And now my team at the language schools are saying, please come back, we need you. Like, it's been a year, can you come? We need new ideas, new things. And now that we had spent this whole year at Darius Lucas, I'm now hiring a business manager for Darius Lucas, so that I am able to then oversee both of the businesses again, and hopefully come back to some sort of sanity there, and to be cruising at a great altitude without getting too distracted. Number 9, character building. So there's this very cliche quote that says, it's not about sort of the end goal that you're aiming for, but it is about who you become in the process of succeeding, in the process of achieving something. And I really felt it this year, because I really saw how I was changing, how my team was changing, how everybody, myself, my team, how we were all stepping up and learning more about ourselves and the world, our professional skills and lives in a way that we had to become better versions of ourselves. And when I look back at the way we started at the beginning of the year, how we had grown, I realized that there is some substantial weight to this experience. That in going through this year, I had come more, regardless to the turbulences and the stresses and the distractions and not having enough time for a lot of things, I had almost come more to myself and to who I am, and I felt stronger than I had ever been. I felt that all the lessons that I had been studying, and whether in therapy or entrepreneurship or psychology books, that they all had come to fruition this year. And to be able to feel that you are now as a student sitting in your exam and you're getting the answers right, it's a beautiful experience. And you know what, once you leave that exam, you're not gonna be the same. And I probably couldn't really say yet what exactly had changed. I think I had become much more organized. I would say more grounded and more decisive and more clear on the direction that I want to take in my life. And I had the sense that whilst nothing in life is predictable, I am in charge of how much time, effort, work, blood, and sweat I put into anything. And things may fail and may succeed, but I get to decide if I'm gonna set myself up for success, for opportunity, for possible success at least. Yeah, it has been a very nice growing process. And of course, there are some probably bad things that I've learned about it. So when it comes to building a business, it becomes such a metaphor for life. And it's really who you become in the process of building it. And it's not about, the dollars in your bank account or number of buyers or a number of team members. It's really about who you are and who you become and how you go through this transformation. And here we come to number 10, have a bold vision. So I know that for all these years, I had a bold vision that sustained me. I knew that I wanted to be autonomous. I knew I didn't want to have a boss. I knew I wanted to be in charge of my time, and I knew I wanted freedom, and freedom of expression, freedom of creativity, and freedom of time. And that vision has really been driving me for all these years. And now this is the very ideal that helps me build this company, because that's what I want to teach other people, how to really build their freedom in all of these respects. And as this grows, I envisage also creating a company brand. I'm probably not gonna yet reveal the name that I'm thinking of or the concept, but I really want to elevate this further and this whole company to go beyond my name and just myself, and actually to include multiple other teachers and grow this company in ways that could really do some good in the world and could actually be really fun and teach people the skills that they need to build their freedom and their businesses and have a freaking good life, and as trite as it sounds, I think. And I have a notebook with my visions and my strategies and the visions for myself for the next year, for the business, for my team. And those visions are very, very exciting. Some of them are very personal, some of them very professional. But when I read them, I get very, very excited. I get very turned on almost. I'm like, this is life. I want to do life. I want to play this game, because I'm realizing that after all of this, building a business, having this YouTube channel that has very few views right now, traveling the world, building a team, scale your business, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, because life is a game and we are all here sort of playing this game. And the biggest realization for me is probably that we are really in charge of this game for ourselves. We get to decide what type of game we actually going to play in this life. And business is a game, life is a game. And if you have a strong, bold vision, that's a prerequisite for a really fun game. Yeah, so I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm really excited about next year, and I'm really excited about playing this game, seeing life as a game, because that's what it is, right? And growing the business further, seeing what's there, and hopefully this channel grows. And if it doesn't, it's also fine, and if it does, it's amazing. But there are also things to come. So what I'd really encourage you to do is to grab a pen and paper and go over your previous year and what were the top lessons for you, as well as what is your bold vision for next year. And if you're needing more help with journaling and setting goals for the next year, look up this video that's appearing here on the screen, and that is your ultimate guide. See you in the next video.